All right, guys. So I've seen Superman twice now, and I feel like I'm ready to do a little bit of a spoiler discussion. Now, I did say in my spoiler-free review that I overall liked the movie, but I just thought that the pacing really brought it down for me. I just thought that it moved by so quickly, but I also mentioned that I was overwhelmed just by the very nature of the movie, and that I did feel like I needed to watch it again before I could really solidify my thoughts. And so I did that. I watched it again, which I'll be honest, I rarely do for movies. Like normally I watch it once and I like it or I don't like it. But this movie I really did feel like I needed to watch it again. And I got to say, on my second watch, I like the movie a lot more. I think I'm ready to say that I've gone from I liked it to this is a really solid movie, and I do think it is a solid start for the DCU. Still not quite as good as I maybe would have wanted it to be. At the end of the day, I just don't like it as much as his Guardians movies. But either way, definitely a solid start for the DCU, and I think it's just overall a big win for them. At least in terms of quality, we'll have to wait and see how the box office goes. Now, the first spoilery thing that I guess I'll get into is I really like the vulnerable Superman. I like that we saw Superman that was kind of getting his ass kicked throughout the movie. Now, I do think that people are overstating it. Like, I've seen people say, like, oh man, Superman is weak. They made him a weakling. He's just getting his ass beat the whole movie. And it's like, yes, we do see him getting his ass beat the whole time, but first of all, the movie starts with the opening, like, crawl. Not really a crawl, but you know what I mean. And by the way, I really love that. Like, I love the whole, like, lore building of how metahumans appeared on Earth 300 years ago. And so I love that they're setting the stage of, like, they exist on this Earth. We're on a DCU where superheroes and superpowered beings, they just exist. So that was really cool. But it also says in that crawl that when Superman fought his clone, when they thought that he was the Hammer of Baravi or whatever, that was the first time that Superman ever lost. So throughout his entire time in his 3 years of being active, he's exclusively been taking W's. It's only in this movie, and it takes a clone of himself to beat him. So I don't think that this Superman is weak per se, but rather this movie is us witnessing the first time that he's challenged. So it works for me. I don't think that like Superman is just overall weak, just in general. I don't agree with that at all. I also gotta say I didn't mind the change of his of Jor El and whatever the mom's name. I don't even actually have no idea. Um, of them being evil and Clark being who he is just because of how the Kents raised him. I really don't mind that change at all. I've seen a lot of Superman fans on the internet being like, they changed the lore. I don't like it. I don't like that one bit. As I don't give a shit about Superman lore. I don't care. Especially because I think they did that in My Adventures with Superman, didn't they? Because I really loved that show actually. And I want to say they did the same thing in that show. Am I remembering that correctly? Because I think when Brainiac shows up in that show, he's just there being like, "Hey, bro, I'm a Kryptonian robot, and this is my prime directive that your people sent me to do." Like, I'm pretty sure they did the same thing in that. So I'm fine with it. I don't care if that's not how it's usually done. Again, I don't know. Superman lore is not something that I'm invested in or care about. And I like the way that it plays out in this movie, where Pa Kent gives him that speech of your choices make you who you are. I got teary eyed when he did it, and yeah, it quite frankly, the more that I think about it, the more that is just a better way of going about it. Honestly, that yeah, I like the idea that his Kryptonian parents, are kind of shitty, and his human dad raised him to be a human and raised him to be a great man. Like that actually is just that's way better than both his sets of parents being great. I don't know. But anyways, you can feel free to write a paragraph or a 5 paragraph essay in APA formation telling me why I'm wrong about that. Love Clois. I think their dynamic and their chemistry I think was really great. Um, and I love the friction between them. I really love that Lois is portrayed as just a really serious reporter, and the conflict of her dating Superman, which is just a rough thing to do as a reporter and not truthfully report. But then she's seeing Clark, you know, having like conflicts of interest in report and interviewing himself, and when he lets her interview him, she takes it super seriously, and he's like, "Whoa, why are you taking it seriously?" And I love how within this environment they have their argument and their conflicting ideologies where Superman is just earnestly trying to do good, and he's frustrated by Lois having a more measured uh take where she really wants to like think things through. And I really love their difference in ideologies, but I also love how it challenges both of them and it makes both of them better throughout the movie. It's like, yeah, I really love the way that they handled that. You know, this is, at least as far as movies are concerned, and remember, I've never seen the Christopher Reeve movie. I've only seen the Man of Steel movie. This is easily better than fucking Amy Adams' uninteresting, boring, like whatever, who cares character in those movies. Like those characters never had any chemistry. I never cared about Lois as a character. So yeah, really love Rachel Brosnahan and David Corn Sweat and their chemistry together. I gotta say, I also like the whole war plot. I've been seeing that this is like kind of controversial from what I can tell on the internet, where I think a lot of people are interpreting it to be like Israel and Palestine. As I was watching it, I was more so thinking about like Ukraine and Russia, because it's like, okay, look, I'm not super politically knowledgeable, but I mean, when it comes to like Israel and Palestine, like, yes, Israel is of course the more powerful force, and they have, it's a war that has led to more casualties on the Palestinian side. And so a lot of people consider it to be a genocide. But like, when you look at like Hamas being the governing body of Palestine, it's like they have flags that are like death to America, death to Israel, curse upon all the Jews or whatever. Like, it's like, I don't know that the the innocent party in Superman, I just don't know if you can really apply it to like Hamas, in the governing body of that side. Whereas when you look at Ukraine and Russia, it's like, yeah, like Russia, I feel like Russia are just obviously the bad guys in that situation. Or like, it's like Russia in the real world are like comic book bad guys. They just are. Especially like the bad guys here have like Russian accents too. So, I mean, I get that that they also look Middle Eastern in the movie. So I can understand why people would be like, oh, they're Palestinians. But I don't know. Personally, I think if it was going to be modeled after a real world country, which, to be clear, I do think that James Gunn also was probably consciously not having it be a one-to-one comparison to any real world conflict. But I feel like if you are going to do that, it would be Ukraine and Russia. But I don't know. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. But overall, I liked it. I liked that that whole idea of Superman interfering with the geopolitical conflicts, and that leading to the governments around the world trying to figure out what they're going to do about that. I like that Lex, which I guess we can get into, was manipulating everything in order to find an excuse to kill Superman. And overall, I thought that Lex was just a great villain. He was actually like scary, like right from the beginning when you see that the engineer is closing in on the Fortress of Solitude. It's like, from that point forward, it's like, yeah, Lex is scary. You feel scared for Superman, which was a really cool feeling, like knowing that Lex is this incredibly capable and intelligent villain that is just like hyper focused on figuring out exactly how he's going to kill Superman, figuring out the way to do it in a way where the people are okay with it, right? Like, how can I demonize Superman to the point that they would be okay with me killing them? Yeah, really interesting stuff. And here's what I'll say as well. Like, I'm also seeing, I guess, similar. This kind of points back to the whole Israel and Palestine thing. a lot of people are trying to turn Superman into a controversy, saying that it is political or it isn't political. And it's like, I mean, when you look at how Lex, yeah, he's trying to demonize Superman in order to kill him, and in a way that people will be okay with that. It's like, I'm not going to sit here and act like that doesn't at least kind of remind me of, the demonization of immigrants in this country. Like, what do you, like, again, if we're having these conversations, it's like, it does kind of feel like that. I mean, we did have the president of the United States just openly spread rumors about Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs. I mean, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say, dude? So, but also, just to be clear, this movie was written like 3 years ago, I think. So it's like, when this movie was written, I believe it predates October 7th. It predates the Trump administration. It predates, immigration really kicking up into high gear. So I think any of these comparisons really are just, if anything, art imitating life. But I don't even necessarily think it's on purpose. So I don't know. If you're an anti-woke person, I guess I wouldn't go into this being like, oh, James Gunn made it woke. Because it's not like thrown in your face, these themes. Like, you really have to just think about them and like apply them yourself. So, I don't know. I don't know, dude. Let me know what you think. As far as the Justice Gang goes, I mean, the real standout is obviously Mr. Terrific. Like, it's not that he has like a super meaty storyline, but he's just aura farming the whole movie. And it's awesome. Like, his fight scene is, yeah, I think it is the best fight scene in the whole thing. I also really like the way that it was shot, where they kind of like give you like the POV of Lois, and she and as Lois is like looking around, it's like the camera's kind of like doing like quick turns in order to mimic that as well, and you're seeing Mr. Terrific just like a badass, just like sending his T-spheres around. I really like the touch of him like holstering, like mimicking him holstering a gun, and it bringing all the T-spheres back to him. Really cool character. Like, I saw a headline that James Gunn is considering doing a Mr. Terrific TV show, and I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I will absolutely watch an HBO Max Mr. Terrific series. Like, honestly, I'm gonna be open to any TV series after Peacemaker, like, and The Penguin. Like, those are two shows where I feel like a lot of people were like, who needs that? Nobody asked for a Penguin show. Nobody asked for a Peacemaker show. And they both ended up being great. So, but Mr. Terrific would be one where it's like, right off the bat, I think most people are going to be like, oh, hell yeah, I'll watch that. But yeah, the other Justice Gang are cool too. Like, Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, I thought was really cool. I did like seeing Superman inspire them to eventually go off and fight in the war or whatever for him. Like, I like the whole thing of Baravia. I forget what I know one of them is called Baravia. Baravia is the bad country. I don't remember what the innocent country was called, but I like seeing the whole thing of the kid holding up the Superman flag because Superman inspired them, and then instead of Superman coming to their rescue, it's the Justice Gang who were inspired by Superman, right? Along with Metamorpho. Like, I actually like that whole thing. I think that works. And then as far as some of the post-credit scenes, I like seeing Kara at the end. I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you, because like I knew that it was based off of Woman of Tomorrow, like the comic book run. But I don't know, like I guess for whatever reason, I was still like surprised that Supergirl came in drunk, even though it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because that is where it picks up. It's going to pick up with Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, with her drunkenly going to a red planet so that she's able to get drunk, like Superman explains at the end of the movie. And I'm going to say this, man. If they do it right, I think Supergirl has the potential to be like much better than Superman. Again, like the potential of that comic book being adapted to film, there's so much there. And I think it could actually, and especially if it ends up being a more focused movie than maybe Superman is, because Superman is obviously just throwing a lot at you. I have the potential of it kind of, or I see the potential of it potentially outshining Superman. I'm going to be honest with you. So hopefully they nail that, especially because it is going to have an uphill battle to climb just because it is like a spin-off movie, which I feel like generally is people aren't going to be as into initially. So they're definitely going to have to win people over with trailers and stuff. But we'll see. I think it has the potential to be fantastic, actually. And then we also got the post-credit scene with Mr. Terrific, where he's like putting back together Metropolis. And these were actually the set photos that we like. I think one of the first initial set photos, it turns out it was this post-credit scene with Mr. Terrific. And the other thing about the post-credit scene, or actually, Kara wasn't the post-credit scene. It was actually just like one of the final shots in the movie. Now that I remember, it's not a post-credit scene. The first post-credit scene is just Clark is sitting with Krypto on the moon. Yeah, that's actually it. But yeah, the other post-credit scene were those first set photos with Superman and Mr. Terrific, which is kind of fun because we thought, I feel like that's never happened before, where the set photos were just post-credit scenes that got leaked, I guess. But yeah, I guess, am I missing anything else? Oh yeah, I really like the very end of the movie, where instead of him, because like the whole movie, I guess, is Superman trying to, or feeling lonely, feeling like his purpose on Earth is designated by his Kryptonian parents, and he would look longingly to his Kryptonian parents in order to feel comfortable. That's where the movie starts. I actually love that at the end of the movie, when he realizes that, you know, after Pa Kent gives him his whole spiel, he realizes that his source of inspiration for Superman is actually his humanity. It actually is his upbringing with Ma and Pa Kent. And so when he sees the video for Comfort or whatever, it's home videos of him with his parents, which I think that was really cute, and I actually really loved the ending of the movie. But yeah, overall, I think those are most of the spoilers that I think I wanted to get into. I'm just doing a quick scan through my mind. Is there anything that I particularly care to analyze? I don't think so. I think I got most of everything. I mean, obviously there are other things in the movie, but as far as like interesting topics of discussion regarding spoilers, I think that's about it. If there's anything that I missed, obviously feel free to let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to reply and give my thoughts. But yeah, overall, way more positive on the movie after a second watch. And I'll see you in the next movie, or in the next movie, in the next video. Goodbye.